Okay. So, uh, you might have seen that when you have int a, right? And I assign certain value, and when I print it, right? If I print int a, so what is it used to print? So it used to print the value which variable holds, right? See, so it's printing 56. Okay. But if you see, let us assume if I take a class called student, okay, and then I have a property called string name, and then I have a property called int age. Okay, let me have one constructor also. One second, we have one constructor. Okay, so I created one constructor, right? Okay, let me create a student object. A student name should be Ram equal to new student. Okay, now it's have a two value. The first one is name. Let me pass your name Ram. Okay, and the second one is age. Let me pass 22. Okay, okay. So what happened? Okay, so basically, uh, what happened when we print? So this is also a variable, right? RM is also a variable, right? But it's which type of variable? Student type, right? It's an object, right? And this is primitive type, right? And this is reference type, right? This is a reference type variable, correct? So when I print this, so we have to absorb the output here, okay? And then we'll discuss about toString. So see what is printing. So this is the first part. It's a fully qualified class name, and then there is hexadecimal representation of hash code. Okay, so this is hexadecimal representation of hash code. Okay, okay, how it's getting printed? So basic thing is how it's getting printed. So right now, so whenever you print any reference type, right, it will use to call a toString method. Okay, but we don't have toString method in student, right? We don't have, right? Internally it's getting called and it's printing this value. So from where it is getting called? So as I said, you guys remember, object is a super class of all the classes, and inside the object there is a method called toString. Okay, and in that method they are having an implementation to whenever you print a object or any reference type, if you not override that method, it will go with the default implementation. And what is the default implementation? The default implementation is print the class name and then a hexadecimal value of hash code. Okay, okay. So let me see that what is the hash code of this, and we'll confirm RAM. Okay, how to print a hash code? Like this, right? So let me run this one. So this is the hash code, and this is the hexadecimal representation. Let me do one thing. I will show you exactly how it is. Okay. So let me do here string hex value equal to integer dot and then pass this one. Okay. Right. Okay. I have to print this hx. Okay. Now you compare. What I did is first I print this reference type. So what I will get? I will get this, right? Correct? A fully qualified student name, and then we are having a hexadecimal representation of what? Hash code. Then to prove it, what I did, I first get that hash code of that object and then convert it to hexadecimal and then I print it, which is same, right? Correct? Okay. Okay. So now, what happened? Okay. So this is the default when we are printing here, right? So this is going to be the output here. This is a default implementation, which is coming from object class toString method. Okay. But we don't want to print like this, right? It's not making any sense to us. So when we are printing a equal to 56, what is happening? When we are printing a equal to 56, I am getting a value of a. In similar pattern, when I print this object, right, Ram, I want to print Ram and age. So how we do that? Every time I cannot go and print like this, right? Name and again Ram dot age. This is not a proper way, right? For that, every time you have to know, like you have to write a lot of code and you have to know about all these properties that object hold, right? So you print Ram and 22, correct? So what we'll do in that case? Okay. So in that case, we have to override toString method. Okay. Okay. Always remember. Now one more thing. Let me remove this. Okay. Let it be. Let me comment this out. Let me comment this out. Now this is the variable. And let me remove this part as well. Let me remove this one as so. Okay. Now I'm printing this. One second. Okay. So I'm printing here Ram, and now this is a hash code. I'm just prove that how this hash code is getting converted to hexadecimal, and that value we are getting here, right? Okay. So it's all about default implementation. Okay, it's all about default implementation. Okay. Now let me override toString method. So what exactly happened that we'll learn later. So first, let me override this toString method. So now see, I have overridden it. What is the return type of this method? String, right? The return type. And this is the what we call the formatting and all I did. This is not needed. If you want, you can do like this. You can simply print name and age also. Okay, let's assume if you don't print anything here. If you write here inside double quote, you write Abhinav. Okay. So what happened? You have to see that. Okay. So now with the default implementation, what is printing? It's printing class name and student. I have overridden it and just returning Abhinav. So what happened? You see Abhinav, right? So how it's happening? We have not invoked that one, right? So who is invoking that one? So basically what happened when you print any reference variable, right, then there is two tasks happen. Okay, the first one, if reference variable contain null, then null value will be displayed, but in our case reference variable having a object, right? If reference variable contains address of an object, which is true in our case, then toString method will be invoked by the JVM automatically. Okay, so who is invoking that toString method in this case? JVM, because we are not calling toString, right? There is no explicit call, right? So in that case, it will go to toString method. It will check if you implement. You have implementation, it will call from there. So I have it call Abhinav. If it was not there, let us assume it was not there. So in that case, what happened? In that case, it will go with the default implementation which is available in the object class. And in that implementation, it will first print a class name, then at the rate, then hash code, hexa decimal representation of hash code, right? So what you have to do? you can override every time, right? For meaningful output. If you want to print something in certain format, whenever someone print your object, so in that case, you have to override toString method. Okay, always remember, don't use toString method for any other purpose. Okay, you have to use this method only to print content of the object. So what is the content of our object? These two, right? These two is the content, right? This is name and this is age, right? Let me generate toString. Okay, and now because of what I did, I was just saying whenever someone, okay, so in toString what I did, I given name, then age and age, student parenthesis open parenthesis close. Now we'll see how it will print. So see, it's the format you want, in similar format will print. So you can modify this as per your requirement. So you know who is calling toString method, what is toString method. If you don't assign any value, right here, let's assume you don't assign any value, right? Sorry. And you given null, right? You given null, right? When you run, one second, I did some mistake over there. Okay. So now if you, so what it's printing? It's printing null because you have null value. So if reference variable contain null, then null value will be displayed. If reference variable contain any address, if it's contain address means it's holding certain value, right? So in that case, what happen? It will invoke toString method on that object. Who will invoke? JVM will invoke. So we are already having an implementation, so it will print the value. So now you all clear about toString?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. Now, if someone asks, what interviewer will do is they will say, okay, fine, you are printing this toString, but I want a default implementation of toString. Default implementation like how we used to print previously, right? So just to sake of interview, they used to ask, I don't need this name and all, I just need how it was printing initially. So how will do that? It's pretty difficult to do that, right? How will do that? So you have to print a fully qualified class name and then add the rate, then hexadecimal representation of your what? Hash code, right? So I'm giving the default implementation here just to teach you guys. If anyone asks you, you will do that. Okay. The first thing what we need, a class name, right? Because you have to print the class name. Okay. So class name will go as a, let us assume CL name. Okay. So what is this object name that we have? The object name, okay, this dot get class dot get name. So what it will do, it will give a class name, right? You can directly type a class name also, no issue. Okay, so now we got the class name, right? And later, other thing what we need a hash code. So hash code HC. I just did HC, and then this dot hash code. So now I get the hash code. So what I need? I need a hexadecimal value of this HC, right? Because default implementation is like that. So what I will do? I'll do string hexa hash code. How I will do that? So there is a method inside the integer class. There is a method called toHexString. What it will do? If you pass any integer, it will convert this to hexadecimals. So I'm directly converting. Okay. So now I have to form a. So I did return. So what I supposed to form? I supposed to form class name. So CL name plus, right? Because it's a string. Then double quotes. Inside double quotes, what we can have? At the rate, and then plus what we can have? Hexa code, right? Let me run this. It's printing. Clear to you all? Any question in toString?
So we have to write these things here.
No, you
In
don't. You don't need to write this thing. I just teach you as if someone asks you default implementation, because you might
for
heard.
default, yeah.
Yeah. So if
If
you have,
someone asks for default, so we have to tell these things.
yes, you have to inform them like this is the way to write it. This is a implementation in default toString method. They are having it. If you want, I can also write that. But as you know, like we use toString to print the content. So let it be here. Let me comment this out. Okay. Okay. Now I have written. I have used return because I have to print. So this dot name, right? Plus double quote plus this dot is, right? And like that I can print, right? So this is our implementation. I just mock that default implementation, how it is, how actually. So see, RAM and 22 got print, right? Let me give a space here and then let me run. Okay. And if you want, you can generate also. So which is clear to all of you, toString methods. What is the use of toString? Clear?
Yeah, yes, Abhinav. So I have a doubt. Like, so do we have any scenario like in this scenario we need to um, override this method mandatory? Like, do you have any mandatory situation like that?
Every time, right? Every time you have to override this method. Okay.
So if you don't override this method for each and every class, like I have seen, like we mostly will be overriding this in the model objects, right? In the Pojo classes.
Yes.
So may I know like what is the exact reason?
Okay. I will tell you the, see, mostly if you are printing anywhere, you are printing the object, right? And anywhere you are printing the object. So when you print the object, why you print? The sole purpose is to print the object is to see the content of that object, right? So anywhere in your DTO or POSO, if you want to print it, you have to override toString. Okay.
Okay.
If you not override it, you will get this value, right? I told you, right? The default one. If someone
Okay,
print,
I got it. Okay,
if you
got it.
not override and someone print it, you will get that fully qualified class path and at the sorry class path and at the rate and then hexadecimal representation of hash code. Okay, there is a tool which we learn in future, already building future classes project and all for you guys. Okay, the project name is storekeeper, which is billing and inventory management project. I'm building it for you. So once your Spring Boot is started, we'll build that project. We might have everything running and you guys learn on that project itself. Okay. So in that project, we will not override this toString. So one tool is there, one library is there called Lombok. Okay. So so what it used to do, this constructor, setter, getter, everything it will do it for you. You don't have to do it. It doesn't mean that it's not creating. It will create, but it's not visible in the code. Okay. So kind of that is later thing. But right now you have to override. If you want to print, you have to override toString. If you not override, you will get a default implementation, which is clear to everyone, right?
Yeah, and do you have any rule like if you are overriding this two strings, should we override this hash code method also?
It's not like that. See, equals and hash code is somehow related to each other. Okay.
Okay,
So that we learn when we are learning a map. Okay.
okay,
So when you learn map, I will tell you why these two have to override together. If you override one and if you not override another, what happened? Okay. These are the question basically a 3-4 year experience Java developer, right? So if they go for interview, they used to face these questions. Okay. Why to override hash and equals to, if I not override one, what will happen? Right? So this we
Okay.
will discuss later, not right now. Okay. First we have to understand this. So this is clear. Tostring is clear to each and everyone, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Yeah.
Okay. So I just, for the sake of recording, I will just share my screen where I have make the note so that later on, if you guys go through that, right? Okay. Okay. So my screen is visible, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
notepad is visible.
Yeah.
Yes,
So
sir.
notepad is visible, right? So what is the first thing? So when you print the reference variable, the following task will happen, right? What is the first task? If the reference variable contain null, then null value will displayed. If reference variable contain an address of an object, then what happened? Then toString method will be invoked by JVM automatically, right? Which I already explained. By default, toString of object class will be printed, fully qualified class name and @ hash code in hexadecimal format, which is clear to you all, right? Okay, I think
Yes.
okay, this point, this is clear. You can override it and you can provide your own content. And whenever someone print your object directly, what will happen? It will print whatever you have provided in your toString method. So this is clear to you all, right? Clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll learn about, quickly we'll learn, already we have seen equals operator, okay? So you have seen this equal to operator, right? Previously, right? So what it used to do? So if you have 5, here, it will return true, right? So in primitive type, it will compare with value. Let us assume I have a variable called int a equal to 5, int b equal to 5. So if I print system.out.print a equal to b, what it will print? It will print true. Why? Because double equal to operator, if you use double equal to operator with primitive data type, it will compare content, right? This is content. If content is true, match, it will print true. But what happened? Let us assume I am having a class called student, obj1 equal to new student, right? A student obj2 equal to new student. So if I compare system.out.println obj1 equal to obj, what it will print? It will print false. Not because it's never compare the content of this to reference type. Whenever this double equal to operator we use with a reference type, it will always compare address of this and address of this. It will be never same, right? Because these both are the unique object. Okay, so it will never print true. In which case it will print true. Okay, I will tell you. A student object 3 equal to obj2. So what I did? Object 2 I assigned to object 3. Now both are pointing to same address 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. obj1 point to this, obj2 also point to this. So in this case, when you compare system.out.println, when you compare obj1 equally, sorry, obj3 and obj2, obj3 and obj2, what it will print? It will compare the address. So what it will print? It will print true. So this is clear to you all, double equal to operator, right?
Yeah, it's clear. It's clear.
So it's all about the primitive and non-primitive implementation or behavior. This double equal to operator do with primitive and non-primitive data type, right? Okay. So by seeing this example, you might have got a clear idea about when you have to compare the object, right? This double equal to operator is not going to work, right? So what will work? Okay. So we are having equals. We are having equals. Okay. In last video, already I have done the equal implementation. In this one, we'll understand. Okay. Okay. So equals method also, like how toString default implementation is there. Similarly, equals default implementation is also there, where it is inside object class equals method. So what it will do? So basically, it is, if you go and if you see that, okay, it is like this. This is a default implementation. First, we'll go through default implementation. Return is boolean. It will return true and false. It's equals or not. Then the method name equals. Then it will take our object as a parameter. Okay. And then here we have return this. The object which is calling this method, this equal to obj. So this is similar to what we discussed above, right? This one. But we have to override it. Okay, this is default implementation. It will behave as it is. If you compare to object, even the content is same, because it's comparing what it's doing in default implementation. It's comparing the address, right? Double equals to what it will do. It will compare the address of two objects, right? Which is not for any use of ours, right? Okay, so what we'll do? So we'll override this. We'll override equals method in your class if you want to compare the content of two objects. So what is the use of equals to? If anyone asks, they will say equals to, we have to, equals to, I'm saying equals, not equals to. Okay. So equals method we have to override. Why you have to override? You have to override if you want to compare content of two objects. Clear? So this is the basic, this is the, okay. So now in many built-in classes already, like string and all, we'll see there are certain classes which you already override it. But when you define our own class, we have to override it. Okay, we'll see that. Okay. Okay, my screen is visible to you all, right?
Yeah, it's visible.
ID is visible. Okay. So now we're learning about equals to, right? Okay. So now let us assume everything is same, like we'll go on top. Now Ram, okay. We'll copy this one. As we discussed, right? RAM1, RAM2. So RAM1, RAM2 having same name, same age. So what is supposed to return? It's supposed to return true as per logic, right? So let me compare this. RAM equal to RAM2. So what it will do? The double equal to operator, what it will do? It will compare the address of RAM and address of RAM2. Let me print this. False, right? Which is correct. Okay. Now as we learn, like equals to operator, we have to use equals. So I am using equals. So I'm using equals RAM dot equals to RAM2. So basically, we have not override it, right? In our class, only one method is overridden, which is toString, no equals, right? So what will happen? It will again return false because it will go with the default implementation. This is the default, this equal to obj, right? This is our default implementation, right? Okay. So we'll come here, we'll run this, we'll get false, but we want true because the content is same. Okay. What we'll do now? We'll go to where it is. So now we got this object, right? So if you see here, so this means this one, and obj object means this two. So if you see here, obj. So this is which parameter is getting passed. This point to the current object which is calling this method. Okay. So now it's come here. Now I want to compare. So I want to convert this dot age obj dot. Okay. It's an object, right? So first what we have to do? We have to cast it because it's coming as an object. First we have to cast it to a student class. So let me do that. Student ob equal to, how to cast it student and then obj. Already you guys know this, right? I already told you. Inheritance, dynamic method dispatch, we have learned this. So I ob dot age. Okay, so if these two are same, right, and this dot name is a string which already have equals to overridden over there. So because name is a class, so it's already overridden, so you can directly use equals over there. So we'll use ob dot name. Okay, now we'll see what it's coming. It's coming true, right? Why it's coming true? Because the content of these two are same. So it's totally depend on us how you want to give the implementation. If you just want to compare on roll number, or you just want to compare age or name, you want to compare everything, you can compare everything. It's totally depend on us, right? So you will see this example and also visit the last video if you want to get details about more details about equals to, right? So clear to you all, equals, what is the use of equals is clear, right? So equals method we use to override to compare reference type object, reference type variables content or object content. Clear to you all, right? So we have 2 minutes left. Anything you want to ask, you can ask. Otherwise, in next class, we'll learn cloning. No question? Punita, Sushant?
No, Abhinav. So do we have another session today?
Yes, we'll have another session,
Okay.
which is a very important topic, cloning. Fine. Okay. Okay, then I will stop this. Okay. And then again we'll connect after 10 minutes because 1 minute is left. So I have to waste time. We'll learn cloning the new video. Okay. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.